Okay, so moving on to verse 6 then. Verse 6 is like finishing up the previous sentence, which said, "In love he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ, in accordance with his pleasure and will." Verse 6, "To the praise of his glorious grace, which he has freely given us in the one he loves." So this verse is saying all of this, everything that's happened in us being adopted in his love according to his pleasure and will, it's all to bring praise to God, but specifically here it's saying to the praise of his glorious grace. There's this word grace, which we've looked at already in verse 2, means unmerited favour. It's a favour that isn't deserved at all, but it's given freely. This verse here is saying it's to the praise of his glorious, unmerited favour. We're only adopted into the family because he chooses to pour out his favour on us. He didn't have to do it. There's no one else that he's accountable to except himself, and him being perfect. That's fine. So there's no other voice that's saying you have to do this, and then he has to be held accountable to that. It's completely his unmerited favour that he chooses to give. It's glorious, his glorious grace, or the glory of his grace. It's it's, I don't know, what's a word that we can try and understand glory better in one way. It's like, think of the warmth of the sun. It's so bright, and it like when if it's a cooler morning and you come out outside and the sun hits you, there's just this, it's glorious, the brightness of it, the warmth of it. It's amazing. The glory of the sun in the sky is nothing compared to the glory of this unmerited favour, this grace. When it hits you, it affects you, it changes you, it affects your mood, it affects it just does things. It's glorious. And so everything that happened in us being adopted into sonship is for the praise of that grace. We, I guess in response to what he's done, it should just result in praise. Praise being like only slightly different to worship. Worship is more to do with who someone is, whereas praise is more to do with what someone does. So we're praising God essentially for his unmerited favour, because wow, it's just amazing that he would do it. It's so worthy of praise. And it says this glorious grace which he's freely given us in the one he loves. And we've just got to remember always that everything comes back to Jesus. All of the plans of God from beginning to end, Jesus is central in it. And so this adoption that we've received, which is the result of his glorious grace, this unmerited favour. It's only because of his favour that we receive this grace. We receive this adoption, and it all comes from Jesus. And again, it's encased in the fact that it's given to us in the one he loves, and in Colossians it talks about being taken from the dominion of darkness and brought into the kingdom of the Son he loves. And that's what this is all about. The kingdom of God is completely saturated, submerged. It cannot be separated from the love of God. It's the structure of the kingdom is like the atmosphere of the kingdom is the love of God. There's no breath that can be taken in the kingdom without it breathing in the love of God. It's it's the air, it's the foundation, it's it's everything of the kingdom is coming from the source, which is the love of God. And so we see, it's in love that he adopted us, according to his pleasure and will, which is to the praise of his glorious grace, which is freely given us in the one he loves. It's just all coming from the love of God. Everything of God is wrapped up, submerged in his love. His love. So Jesus being so preciously, perfectly loved by the Father. It's in the context of this loving relationship that has been extended to us. This grace that we've received is in the context of this Son and what he accomplished, who's totally encased in the love of God. So we've been brought into this amazing bubble of love. However, it's not a bubble because it's infinite. But it's amazing. And so that's verse 6.